Okay, hello again, guys. So, um, last time we saw how in Python almost everything is an object. So we saw something like dir, which gives um, the all the methods and attributes associated with a particular object. Mm, this command, when we run it on something like 1 or a floating point number, 10.23, I think that's the value we used last time, um, or a string object. So all these um, result in um, the list of the methods and attributes associated to uh, these floating point objects and integer objects or string objects. Okay. And okay. Um, so basically, um, all objects in Python have an ID, identity, basically the location in the memory, and a value. So when you say a equals 1, so this object 1 basically has a memory location, which is identity, and its value, which is equal to integer value 1. Okay, so it can be a little confusing, guys, because here in this case the object, a name, and its value are really the same kind of. They at least look the same, 1 and 1. So it can be a little confusing, uh, but you have to uh, understand the difference between identity and the value of an object. So if you want to get ID of 1, so when we say a equals 1 here, Python has already created an object 1, which represents an object of uh, integer class. Um, so we can find out where it is storing that, the identity of that object 1. So it refers to a memory location here. Um, now, what happens um, with variables in Python is something that we also said we want to talk about. Um, so let's try something like ID of A. What do you think will happen now? So this is something like what is the location in the memory of this thing that we are referring to as A. Normally, I would um, expect that A's location memory would be different from this, right? So it would have some other location, and the value of that object uh, A or variable A would correspond to let's say the memory location of this object 1, because we have assigned it like this. So I would imagine that A sits at a different memory location. Let's see. Okay, so we see that ID of A is the same as ID of 1. So what does this tell you? Basically, variables, when you assign them in Python, they are used like aliases for these objects. So let's do something like this to even to understand this concept even better. Let's say b equals 1, right? Okay, so we assigned uh, b to be equal to 1. So we know that in Python, immediately this it evaluates the right hand side, creates an object 1 in the memory, but we already have the object 1 which was created earlier. So do you think Python would want to create another object which is exactly the same as what we had earlier? This is not the case. So Python reuses this object 1 which has already been created and is sitting in this location. All it does now is it binds or assigns b uh, to it refers b to this location of object 1. So if you say id of b, what you get is the same as id of a. So what this basically means is that it's just Python is just maintaining kind of an internal dictionary where it just wherever it sees where it has put this memory location of this object 1, um, it has uh, it has so wherever it sees a in your program, it just goes and replaces that with this with the location memory location of the object 1. And similarly for b, right? So this is how variables are handled, and it's very different. So as you just saw here, a and b have the same are when you say id or identity of a and b, uh, they both referring to the memory location uh, of um, of the object 1. Yep. So the id of 1 and id of a and id of b, they're all the same. They all refer to the same location where this object 1 is stored in the memory. So this is how variables work a little bit differently compared to everything else in Python, where everything else is basically treated as an object. Yeah. So again, if you just say c is equal to some string, what immediately Python does is it first creates a string type of object with this value, and then binds c or refers c to the memory location of this object. Uh, so so if you say id of c, you get something, and then if you say id of string, so so this is an object that's already existing in Python's memory now, in the computer's memory. So we should get the same value. Yep. So that's what we get. So this Python has created an object, um, a string type of an object with the value of that object being this, which we just created, and all the variables are just when you assign like this variable is equal to this object, the variables are nothing but aliases for the location of these objects. Okay, so um, I hope it was not too confusing, and you understand the difference between uh, or rather how variables are slightly different from how variables are treated differently in Python compared to other things which are all mostly treated as objects. Okay, thank you.